Welcome to Resume the Podcast. I'm your host, Courtney Page, and I'm here to spread the message that you can, in fact, be happy in your career. I'm a former executive recruiter turned career coach, and I am obsessed with learning about why people have chosen their career, what led them to that decision, and how they achieved happiness in the process. So, come join the ongoing conversation that exposes you to career paths of all origins with one thing in common: happiness. So, press play and let's resume the conversation with this week's episode. Hey guys, it is truly a pleasure to introduce today's guest, Suveria Mota. She is a visionary entrepreneur who has seamlessly blended the realms of sustainability and luxury in the world of fashion. She is the founder of her self-titled brand, Suveria, and it is a vegan lifestyle brand with a particular emphasis on luxurious footwear. Her journey embodies the intersection of ethics and opulence, carving out a niche in the industry with a commitment to cruelty-free, eco-conscious fashion. With an unwavering passion for both animal welfare and exquisite design, Suveria has redefined the landscape of what it means to indulge in the finer things in life while remaining conscious of our environmental footprint. So today we have the honor of delving into this inspiring story, which I'm so excited to hear, and behind the creation of this vegan luxury brand, which is something that we don't often hear about, and exploring the challenges that she's faced and the triumphs that she has celebrated along the way. So please join me in extending a warm welcome to Suveria Mota, the driving force behind her brand, as we delve into this fascinating world of vegan luxury, sustainable footwear. I'm so excited. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I love the introduction. You did so good.
Oh, thank you. I was like, this is such an interesting, it really is just such a niche. And I want to get into that, but I like to start off. So we were talking a little bit before we started recording. You said that you had listened to some of my episodes, which I greatly appreciate. So you might know, but I like to start off by asking everybody, if you were at a dinner party and somebody came up and asked you, what do you do? What would your response be?
My name is Suveria, and I'm a vegan fashion designer.
I love it. I like it when people are like, yes, it's like, I got it. Okay, so before we get into all of that, I do want to go back a little bit to when you were a little kid and your origin story, if you will. Like, what did you want to be when you were a kid? Was fashion always something interesting to you, or did that evolve as you grew?
Sure. The funny thing, after I started the brand and I started you have to write your bio about section on the website and stuff. It made me think of where did my love for fashion come, and was it with me during my childhood? So, and then you start researching and noticing, and I'll get into it. So I was born in the Dominican Republic. I came to this country, to New York City, when I was 4. That shaped my life, I think. When you live or you grow up in New York City, you don't realize that you become very New Yorker, and New York is a part of you until later on you travel and so forth. So moved to New York City. When I was 9, I wanted to be an actress. That was my thing. I wanted to be an entertainer. I wanted to entertain people. I wanted people to know my name. I wanted something of that sort. I studied theater in high school. I went to college. I did theater also in college, studied the craft. I did extra work. And then I moved to Los Angeles to pursue acting. I worked in LA for many years. I did casting, auditions. I did some movies. I was a stand-in on some TV shows, movies, etc. And I wasn't fulfilled enough. It wasn't exciting enough. I had to audition more than the gigs that I was getting, and you're just as good as your last gig. And it gets to you. You go to auditions, you think that you're perfect for the role. You put so much effort into it, and then you don't get the call back. And after a while, it gets tiring. And then I stopped for a while. I was just working regular jobs. And then the idea for the brand started. But just to answer your question about fashion, my dad used to make jewelry for Tiffany's.
Oh my God.
So again, like I tell people this all the time, and I didn't care. My dad used to work in the Diamond District up until a few years ago. So I grew
Wow.
up him taking us on the weekends to Long Island and upstate New York to get like gemstones, like real gemstones for his businesses.
If you're just listening to this and you're not watching a clip or anything, Suveria has like the most beautiful necklace. Like she's like
I
bedazzled.
know. No, I can't live this minimalist lifestyle that people love, that this quiet luxury. I'm like, I'm sorry, I love to the necklace, the ring, the
I
bracelets.
love it.
But yeah, I grew up with that. And I've noticed that it was in my childhood. My mom used to make purses for Macy's. My mom used to work in a factory in New York, and she used to make purses. And she would make her own purses with whatever scrap were left. In high school, I tried to make my own prom dress.
Oh,
Like I
wow.
bought the fabric, I cut the fabric. Eventually, I wore something else. But so I've always been in fashion and into fashion. I just didn't realize till later on in life when I stopped acting.
Yeah. It's so interesting because as you were talking, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I have so many like random weird parallels. So my husband's Brazilian and he actually moved from Brazil when he was 4 to Queens. And so
That's where my dad, that's where they used to make the jewelry for Tiffany's in Queens.
yeah, so he was in Queens and oh my gosh, and it's just so funny. Like his whole family came and he then like moved around throughout New York and all that whole area. And now we're both in Florida, which is also
Yeah.
just like so random. But then as you're talking about acting, I was in New York as well. That's where I met my husband. And I was doing some acting as well and studied it in high school and college and all of that. And I'm always curious to know when someone especially when someone's from New York and goes into acting, why the move to LA? Because like so many people, so I'm from Boston. A lot of people moved to New York for acting as opposed to LA because it was closer or whatnot. And those are the two big hubs. Yeah. So why did you go to LA when you were like already in a big acting
Okay.
space?
Yes. New York is more theater if you want to theater. It used to be this way. This was 2008, 9.
Okay.
2009 when I moved to LA. Pre-Instagram, pre-social media. So in New York was primarily for theater and LA was for film. It still is the capital of filmmaking, production. A lot of movies and so forth, you'd think that they were filming in New York, but most of them, it's all in LA on set.
Yeah. Like
And
Friends, right? Friends
yeah,
is
yeah,
filmed
yeah,
in
yeah,
LA. It's
yeah.
all a set. Yeah.
Oh my God, I just, yeah. So I knew that if I wanted to have a lot of work consistently on film and to be on camera, that I needed to be in LA.
Okay, that's interesting. That's good for people to hear. Are you in any way like still connected to film and TV, or are you completely like did you leave that to go into fashion?
I left that. I mean, I have friends that I met that we still communicate. I love everyone. I get like during the SAG strike that was going on, I was very
Mm,
interested and I was liking posts and I wanted them to get what they asked, they were asking for. I was in SAG. So SAG still sends me letters once in a while. I was
mhm.
in SAG and AFTRA. So they still send letters once in a while. I don't know how they figured out my new home
How they
address. I'm in Florida now. Somehow they figured out that I'm here now. But yeah, I still get letters. So I'm not a part of SAG anymore. I haven't paid my dues, but I'm still somehow involved.
Okay, got it. Yeah. It's just interesting and everything that you're saying is so true. I mean, there's so much rejection and it's a lot of like hustle for like no reward, which is very taxing, like emotionally, physically, mentally, financially, like it's a whole
Exactly.
thing. So after you decided to leave that alone for a bit, take us through that a little bit. So you left that alone. Did you immediately jump into this idea of like, I'm going to start my own fashion brand or like how did that manifest?
No, so I remember, I went to an audition and I thought that I was perfect for it. They wanted a mixed race, Latina, something else that loves shoes, that love luxury, that had a Spanish accent. And what else? I thought that I was perfect for it. So I went in. It took me so long to get ready, find parking. I went in with Christian Louboutin shoes, with my Louis Vuitton purse. And they didn't even look up. They didn't care. It was just like, whatever, here's your scene, do
Mm,
it. And I remember at that moment, afterwards, I said, I'm not doing this ever again. I'm done with the rejection, and you put so much effort into it, and then right away, nothing's going to happen. So for 3 years, I just stayed in LA and Vegas working cocktail waitressing, modeling for the trade shows. I did that a lot because even when you're acting, you still have to supplement your income. You're a freelancer.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a full-time job because you have to go to auditions, random times of the day. Again, this is pre-social media when now you could put yourself on tape. Back then, you had to go in person and do the whole audition. So here I am, 2015. I hadn't been in Hollywood working for about 3 years. I decided to watch the documentary Blackfish. It's a documentary about cetaceans in captivity, primarily SeaWorld.
Can you tell us what a cetacean is, just for if someone's like, what did she just say?
Sure. Cetaceans are dolphins, whales, and porpoises. Porpoises are like dolphins, but they're smaller.
Okay.
So I don't know if I should add more to it, but that's basically cetaceans. It's the family that comprises whales, dolphins, and porpoises.
So mammals, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Like sea mammals. Okay.
Exactly. So I watched the documentary Blackfish. I had seen the movie Free Willy when I was younger.
Oh yeah, that was like such a like generational, like
Yeah, exactly. And it always stayed with me. It's one of those things where a core memory where you watch something and it stays with you, and then once in a while you reflect on it, or so forth. I'm an empath, and stuff like that just always stays with me. So I have never been to SeaWorld. I had never been to SeaWorld because I always felt, well, the whales don't want to be here. They don't want to perform the tricks. But there wasn't a documentary or something that confirmed my belief in what we saw in the movie. So I saw the documentary Blackfish, summer 2015, and immediately it clicked in my brain. Something clicked where I felt I was sad for a few days. It touched me on a deeper level, and I started researching whales in captivity, whales at SeaWorld, and one hashtag search took me to another hashtag search. And next thing you know, here I'm reading about, why do you care about whales and you don't care about cows? Or if you're sad about the whales and the dolphins, then you should also be sad about the bunnies in research labs used for in the cosmetic industry, for example. So yeah, so one thing led to another.
You went down the rabbit hole, the bunny hole.
I literally went down the rabbit hole. I literally did. It was like if someone was filming me and they had a montage, I was in my room with the lights dark and I was researching one thing and another thing. Is like flipping pages on my tablet. I had a tablet at the time, my phone. So then I'm like, okay, now I'm interested in like veganism. And then I saw the documentary Cowspiracy. And Cowspiracy is about the farming industry and the cattle industry and basically what we eat. It's the environmental impact of the cattle industry on the environment. And then I saw another documentary, Forks Over Knives. And I'm like, oh my God, no more meat and no more eggs. And okay. And then I saw a documentary called Earthling. It's narrated by Joaquin Phoenix. And in it, he talks about the leather industry and animals used in the fashion industry. And that was my aha moment. So I should say, so at this point, I'm working, I don't have a child, I have excess income. I guess I was a shoe collector. I had a shoe from every like luxury brand out there.
Okay.
Jimmy Choo, Zanotti, Christian Louboutin. I went to Paris just so that I could buy shoes at the Christian Louboutin store.
Wow. Wow. You were hardcore.
I used to email the Louboutin people, the Christian Louboutin, and I used to say, hi, I saw this shoe somewhere. And they were like, well, it hasn't come out yet. It's on wait list, like you, in only certain boutiques. And I would say, like, I want it. I used to call the boutique. We have it. I remember one time I drove from LA to Vegas 4 hours just to buy shoes that they only sold in Vegas.
So you had a slight addiction.
I had an ex-boyfriend. He used to call it my shrine. He used to say, oh, you have like a shrine with your shoes. So here I am now, all these luxury high-end shoes, $1,500, $1,000. And I saw the documentary and they talked about the leather industry. And I'm a very visual person and I see what goes in, what goes on. And I immediately, again, another moment, aha moment. I go into my shoes and I knew that they were leather, that they had leather. It's one of those things where you know, but you don't know.
Mm.
I remember I sat down and I grabbed a pair of Christian Louboutins and it said on the bottom, genuine leather.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, oh my God. And then I grabbed another one and all of them, they said genuine leather. And then I went into my closet. So I had like a nice setup for my expensive shoes. And then I had my other shoes that were pretty in the closet. And those said man-made materials. Like Aldo, what other
Mm-hmm.
brand I had? Aldo, Bakers, like Steve Madden, other lesser known brands. And I said, why don't they make the luxury ones man-made materials that are just as pretty and beautiful? And that's when the ball started to like roll in my head.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting down on the floor and I'm like, oh my God, all of them are leather industry. I'm walking on shoes where the animals suffered and this energy is transmitting. And now I'm becoming all this cosmic, karmic energy. I'm wearing this. Oh my God. And I'm on my phone and I start researching vegan shoes because now I
Mm-hmm.
want like the luxury vegan shoes that look like what I'm making now. Rhinestones, beading, opulent. And
Yeah.
I couldn't find them. I couldn't find anything. There were other brands that were making vegan shoes, but they were a simple pump, just
Mm.
like simple one colorway.
Yeah.
And I purchased them. And I remember thinking, oh my God, let me design a pair and then maybe someone can make them for me on Etsy. So I literally went on Etsy looking for a shoemaker that could make a shoe for me. And I couldn't find someone. Then I called shoe repair shops in LA. I was like, hi, can you make a shoe for me? And they were like, no, we can't do that for you. You need to go to a factory.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I can make 10 pair or I can keep one for myself and then I can sell the other 9.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started researching the footwear industry, the vegan fashion industry. Yeah. And it was challenging because
Mm-hmm.
at the time, no one understood what I wanted to do. And no one understood the vision back then. Now
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense and people understand it. And I don't have to explain it again and again. But it was
Yeah.
very challenging back then.
Yeah. So how did you go from getting no's from cobblers, like shoe repair people, to finding a factory? Like, how did you make that leap? Did you have somebody that, like a mentor in any way, or were you just like doing this on your own? Like,
All on my own. So I emailed every shoe factory in the United States.
okay, there it is.
I emailed. No one responded. They never got back to me. And then I typed online and I showed them the shoes that I wanted, like pump, and I sent them my sketches. No one got back to me. So I found a shoe consultant. There's a lady online. I found her and she does shoe consultations for an hour and she helps you find factories.
I
Got in
love
touch
it.
with her and I paid her. And she said to me, you're never going to find a factory in the United States that can make your shoes because there isn't a factory in this country that can make stiletto pumps. And I said, oh, no wonder no one
It
responded.
was, yeah.
I mean, they all make like combat boots, military boots, sneakers, men's shoes, and sandals, not high-heeled pumps in the United States. She said, your best bet is Brazil, Italy, or China.
Okay.
And she said, but good luck with Italy because since you don't want leather, they're very into their old ways in Italy. I said, okay, got it. And she said, good luck. She offered to continue the process. And I said, don't worry, I got this now. Thank you.
Yeah.
So then I emailed a bunch of factories in Italy. Basically, they all said no. So my other option was China. I went to a sourcing trade show in Vegas and I met with some factories and I spoke with them. And then I had to make sure that they were ethical factories, that their standards met with my standards. I spied on their socials. I made sure that what they were saying was true. And so I
Mhm.
went with a factory and yeah, trial and error. I ordered a sample and it worked out and I continued. I worked with that factory and then now I have another factory. And now the next step is to go to Italy because now they are okay with working that it's in the luxury market. There are other brands that are made in Italy with synthetics. It's not this black horse, black idea that I had back in 2015. They're open to it. They understand that
Yeah.
times are changing.
Yeah. What was it like to, like, when you opened that first sample and
Oh
you
my God.
finally like, what was that feeling?
Oh my God. It was so excited. So excited. The crazy thing is I did the sample in a color that I thought in case if they steal my style.
Oh, okay. So it's like a lilac with, are they pearls or
No,
rhinestones?
they're studs. Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
they're studs.
But
Okay, there
they're
now
like
I can see.
see-through.
Okay, cool.
Anyway, this was
So
my
this was the very first shoe.
very first shoe. I've never worn it.
How you've never worn it? Yeah, I was gonna say
No.
it's very clean. Oh my gosh, that's funny. And how high? How high a pump is that?
This one's 4 inches.
4 inch. I was gonna say, oh my God, I would fall over. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that must have been such a crazy feeling.
Yeah, I've been telling factories in Italy, I want something like this and make it vegan, make it synthetic. And they were like, we can make it, but leather is the best, leather is the best. And you're like, I understand that's what you are guys are used to, but this is what I want. And
Mm.
then finding a factory that understood, yeah, we can make that for you with a turnaround time of, it was like 2 or 3 weeks they made it, except
Oh wow.
it was like, oh my God, yeah, let's move forward.
Okay, and that was in China?
Yeah, that was in China.
It was in China, yeah. So, okay, so you got your beautiful sample and I went on your website and I want a shoe, so.
Tell
But
me which one. I can send them. I can send you.
really, oh my gosh, it
Of
was the
course, yeah.
Jackie. I think it was the Jackie one with it
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
the red one.
yeah, the red one. I was like, oh, that'd be so pretty for the holidays.
Same as this, but with pearls.
Yeah, well, I think pearl is my birthstone, so I like really like
Oh, nice, nice.
yeah. But okay, so how did you go from like getting your sample and you're all excited to getting an actual business going? So, like, did you sell them online at first, or did you go to different boutiques? Like, because it's funny, I have a client who kind of similar background. Her dad is a tailor and she went to Parsons, like, and we were just talking about bags actually. And we're like, oh, how do we do this? How do we start the ball, the snowball effect? How did you do that? Did you sales doorman, like go to each boutique, or were you like, I'm just going to do this online and do it that way?
Okay, so I don't want to say a fan base, but because I was in acting before. So I have a lot more followers on Facebook because I used to post a lot more on Facebook. And then once I stopped with the acting, I deleted everything from my socials. I had a blank canvas. And when I launched the brand, I didn't tell anyone that I was working on shoes, that I was now vegan. I disappeared off the face of the earth. I didn't do it on purpose. It wasn't like a PR plan move.
Mm.
I wasn't interested in posting. It wasn't me anymore. I didn't feel fulfilled. I wasn't interested. So when I posted, we are live, I remember January 1st, 2019, and I started posting the shoes. Everyone was like, oh my God, where have you been? And then the sales came in because no one knew what was happening, that they were so interested in finding out and learning.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as launching the business, I knew that I needed a logo. I should say, even though I wasn't a big star in Hollywood and I didn't make it and all that, I still learned a lot about PR, press releases. You still learn so much about advertisement, photography, just being on set.
Production, right?
Production. Thank you so much. Yeah, you learn so much that, you need great photos, you need great marketing. And so from the very beginning, I knew how I present the brand from the very beginning is going to affect the brand consistently for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
So direct to consumer slowly, hashtags. This is before Reels, before TikTok. So hashtags were big and people
Mm-hmm.
just started finding out the brand. It was very organic.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that because what was something you said is really important and it can be applied to any industry. So it's not necessarily just like acting and fashion and which are both like very kind of glamorous, but it's just all of your experiences have value. And what you did was very smart, realizing while you're in it, like, oh, I already did something similar, like tangential to what I'm doing now. How can I leverage that experience so it's not, I personally really don't think that there's any such thing as a wasted experience. Like you might have
Exactly.
hated a job. Like, yeah, but there's so much that you can gain. And acting in particular, I mean, your brand, it sounds awful, but like you are the product, right? So like there's a lot that goes into figuring out, what headshot to use and how you want to like present yourself. So you got this really great, like undergrad almost diploma in all of this that you need for being an entrepreneur. I mean, because that's essentially what actors are. They're
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. And I love that you had these kind of aha moments that brought you to where you are today. And another thing that you said that I thought was really interesting, and I think it's very relatable, that now it's like to not use social media is really just detrimental if you're trying to grow a brand. But there is something to be said about if you're not feeling fulfilled by doing that, like if whatever you're posting and the purpose behind it isn't totally aligned with what you're interested in, then don't pressure yourself to do it. Like, I love that you were just like, it wasn't doing anything for me. And then when you found this, you were like, this is something that I need to share because it was so important to you and just clicked. Like, there was just a click. So I love that. And I think there's so much that can come from taking a step back and doing the transformation within and then presenting it. And I also love that you like really didn't care about like what other people were thinking. You were just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
whatever, they didn't know where I was doing my own thing and I was
Oh, yeah,
focusing on
yeah.
me.
I had a son. I have a son, and my mom posted him when I had him, and people were like, when was she pregnant?
I did that too.
Now people are not posting as much now on social media, but back then when I had him, people would post all the time, like every little thing. But oh my God, you summarized everything perfectly, Courtney. You're so good.
Oh,
I love that.
thank you.
Going back to posting what I care about and things that the brand. So no wasted experience. I didn't mention I was a stand-in on Glee,
Oh,
which
really?
at the time was like the biggest show in the country, I remember. And I learned so much about lighting. Like you see here, I have my lighting. And when you're behind the scenes, you learn so much. And a lot of the socials and the photography and the creative direction of the brand, I'm able to say, well, I want the lighting to be different. I want this to be this way or that way. Because as far as the acting, nothing happened in that sense. It has helped my brand. So just reiterating what you said about no wasted experiences. And we should be appreciative of everything that we've ever done. Even if you don't think it led you to this point, I'm sure it has. And it can work for any industry. You learn
Yeah.
so much if you're paying
Yeah.
attention.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that it is also sometimes you don't realize that you're paying attention. And then you had those moments where
Yeah.
those like aha moments where you're like, oh, whoa, this is
Yeah.
crazy. And everything comes together. One thing that I was really interested in was the fact that you focused on footwear. So, I mean, you said that you were just like really obsessed with shoes and everything. Why? What about shoes?
I don't know. I thinking about the brand. I started thinking of my childhood. My mom loves high heels. That's part of her thing. And I remember my sister and I, we were young and we would line up my mom's shoes on the floor and we would say things like, when she dies, we're going to have these shoes and this one's going to be mine. Like, people and our inheritance are
So
will.
brutal.
I know. You know what? I never even talk about this, but that just shows you how, I don't know, I've loved footwear and heels. And because I had the need for them, that's what started the brand. And it was a need for me, for myself. And when
Yeah.
I saw there was a gap on the market, I don't know, I feel like, okay, well, if there's a need on the market, why don't I start doing this for me? And then it evolved into let me start a brand.
Yeah. Okay. So I think a lot of people, they'll have an idea, right? And they'll be like, oh, like it would be really cool to make XYZ. So you didn't have any particular like training in making a shoe
No.
or
Oh my
designing a
God.
shoe.
I
Okay.
Googled how
So,
to sketch a shoe, how to sketch. I didn't go to fashion school. I don't have a degree in fashion. I have a degree in speech pathology and audiology.
oh my
Totally.
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Totally. Yeah. Minor English literature. Like fashion was not in my thing. I didn't go to fashion high school. I didn't do any of those things. And for many years, I felt like an outsider in the fashion world because a lot of people have that. Oh, I went to FITM. I went to FIT. I went to since I did that, and like I didn't. I learned from YouTube University how to sketch, how to draw, how to start a business, how to stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to go back to the speech pathology because that's really interesting. But how did you, I guess it's like imposter syndrome, basically. Like,
Yeah.
how did you deal with that? Like, I mean, because you obviously did, and you had this great brand now and it's
Thank you.
successful. And How
At
did
first,
you?
I would hide it. Like, I didn't want someone to say, well, you are not a real shoe designer because you didn't go to school. I, when I was acting, I was going to acting classes. I was going to acting workshops. I studied theater in high school and college. So I felt that because I quote unquote hadn't paid my dues in it. Oh, and by the way, I went to a shoemaking class in LA. I have a certificate in shoemaking class. I was planning on going to a school, a very famous school in Italy for shoemaking, and I got pregnant. I ended up not going. But still, I continued and I worked on the brand. But I felt that someone was going to knock on the door and say, you don't deserve this. You don't
Mhm.
deserve to start a brand if you don't have a degree in shoe designing or in something. Which later on, doing more research, you look at other designers and you go, well, they didn't do it either. So that shouldn't limit you. That shouldn't stop you.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I was watching this thing on Instagram the other day, and it was this guy who I'm not going to remember his name, but he was talking about like the A students end up working like for the government, and the B
Mhm.
students work for, I forget, like a corporation, just like mid management or whatever. And the C students are the ones that like the A and B students are working for, right?
Mhm.
Because they have this ability to think outside the box and not feel like they have to follow in a pre-designed like structure. And I'm not saying that you're a C student, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
like there's this kind of like personality trait, I think, where it's like, well, you don't have to have the degrees in order to be successful or be skilled in something. Where did
Exactly.
that kind of like grit come from? Like, is that something that you've just always had, or did
Yeah, I've always
yeah.
had my dad didn't study jewelry making industry either. He has a
Hmm.
degree in civil engineering and he started making jewelry. My mom either with the sewing handbags. But when I left to LA, this is so long ago, 2008, I met my roommate on Craigslist. And she literally said, "Can you send me a picture of yourself?" Like looking back, oh my God, so scary. I sent her a picture of myself modeling headshots. It was me in like a bikini. Uh, so I don't know what I was thinking. I sent it to her. She said, "Great, the room is yours. Come, like, fly out when you're ready." So I didn't know where I wanted to go in LA to pursue acting. And I thought, well, I need to be in Hollywood, but I don't think I can afford an apartment or roommate in Hollywood. What's on top of Hollywood? And I went, oh, North Hollywood, because I'm from New York City. I am from Washington Heights, which is in the city. It's like above Harlem. So
Hmm.
I thought, oh, it's like above Times Square, let's say. So I figured, oh, okay, I'll move to North Hollywood with her. Met my roommate, literally. Hi, hello, how are you? Here's money for 6 months. I didn't know who she was, this lady.
I love these stories.
I don't know. I don't know where I get it from. I'm just like not afraid to try things. I've never been
Yeah.
afraid. And it was,
Yeah, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, like, I think there's something that is like ingrained in immigrants that they're
yeah,
just like, I can do it. You like
I
all of
know.
my friends that
I don't know
no,
what.
it's such an incredible trait. Like I have two of my best friends, my husband, like they all came, yeah, and they just do this shit that I'm like, what the? How are you
Yeah,
doing this?
my
And it's
husband's
like
from Romania.
fearless.
When people say, "Are you not afraid or scared or worried?" I'm like, "Worried about what? Why?" No,
But
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's also this great mindset where it's just like, what's the worst that could happen, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I always yeah, that's what I always think, like, what could I like, make shoes and no one buys them? Okay, I tried, I did it. What's the worst that
yeah,
can
at
happen?
worst, it's like you wasted some money, but that again, it's not even a waste
Yeah,
because
yeah,
at
yeah.
least you got it out of your system and you tried it. Okay, so what are like 2024 goals for the brand, Suveria, and for you, Suveria?
Yes. So the goals are to expand the brand. Right now we have small accessories, footwear, and makeup. Shoe production in Italy. I'd love to start producing in Italy. Now they're more aware and it's easier to manufacture and so forth, and truly be in the luxury market for retail purposes in the retail space. And the makeup also produced in Italy. The craftsmanship, the Italian craftsmanship is like no other. And I love for the
Mm.
brand and for everything that we offer to be made in Italy moving forward. And for myself, I love to travel more. My son is a little bit older. I don't have to mommy so much.
How old is he?
He's turning 6 next month.
Okay. Oh, that's good to hear because my husband and I are like, when are we able to like do stuff? You know,
Oh,
'cause
last
I've
one? Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
tells
No,
me
my
that, "No, my
3-year-old and 19-month-old, it's like it's just like, oh my God, like you're just so in the weeds. But yeah, sorry, I interrupted
no,
you.
no, you're fine." I remember actually my first sample, he was there, my son, when I opened my first sample. He was like 5 months.
Oh my
Um,
God.
yeah, he's been there. I have photos of him while I'm sketching. Actually, I have photos while I was bottle feeding him on my phone. My husband took a picture, and on the couch, you can see me like photos of my sketches on the side.
That's like so insane. Yeah. I mean, oh my God, just doing that pregnant and that's
Yeah.
like a whole other episode because it's
Um,
just like,
it
yeah.
also motivated me more.
Oh yeah.
It motivated me more because I don't know. It was time is passing, things are happening. What's going on with the brand? And I don't know. It was very motivational having a
Yeah.
child wanting to create something.
Yeah, I think it definitely, at least in my experience, it crystallizes what is really important and like where you're going to spend time. Like,
Um,
because if you're not going to be spending time with your child, like it better be worth it, right? Like, it's
Oh my
like it
God,
better be,
yes. You said exactly that. This better be worth it. I cannot fail. I have to give it my all. When he's in school, I have to post. I have to take photos. I have to create content. I have to make phone calls. I have to do podcasts. Yeah, there's no room for failure.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so I like to end with, I mean, I could keep talking to you forever, but I like to end with like a hot take, like rapid fire. So,
Yeah.
best advice you've ever heard or received?
Well, my favorite quote, fortune favors the bold.
Ooh, I love that. Okay. What is your favorite current daily practice, if you have one?
I know people are into yoga and manifesting and writing their journals and stuff like that. Oh God,
It's
I don't
okay.
have one.
You don't have one. I love that. I love you're just in the flow.
I'm in the flow. I take my son to school, and then whatever has to happen, I have to make it work. I have to do
Yeah.
things have to happen.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Do you have like a go-to pump up song?
Yes. Any reggaeton. Okay, so I'll say a song. Sexy Movimiento Wisin y Yandel. It's like
Okay.
it's like hood.
All right.
Like
Okay. Okay. And I have to ask you this because as I am a yoga teacher and my like go-to every day is like leggings and a tank top and like throw on a sweater. So what is, as someone who's like in fashion, what is your kind of like go-to uniform of the day? If you have a uniform, or are you like,
okay.
I do something
Yeah.
different every day?
No, I'm a uniform black shirt like this.
Okay. It's like a button down. Yeah.
Button down, button up. I'm sorry, black men's shirt. It's big and
Mm-hmm.
jeans,
Jeans.
like
Okay.
mom
Gotcha.
jeans. Yeah,
Gotcha. And
yeah.
a tank
This is
top.
it. This is how they
Okay.
see me all day. My
Yeah,
neighbors.
but it's very chic. Okay, and last question. Favorite sustainable fashion brand that isn't yours?
I'm gonna go with Stella McCartney.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't know she's sustainable?
Yes. Let's just say yes.
Okay, yeah, it's more complicated that
It's a
for the most
vegan
part.
brand. It's a vegetarian brand, and she and her brand was the first where they introduced a luxury handbag into the market that was vegan, and it's called a Falabella bag. It's like $1,500, 1,500, $2,000, and in the world of luxury fashion, she started the conversation of luxury and veganism together, not separate. Like
Mhm.
yeah, so I'll go with Stella McCartney.
Okay, cool. And if someone is interested in starting their own fashion brand, what is a piece of advice? Like, if you could go back and start from the beginning, is there anything that you would do differently?
Be careful who you talk to or something like that.
Okay.
People in the fashion industry, I mean, in any industry, people will take your ideas, people will. So just be wary that the fashion industry is very, very niche.
Patty?
I don't know what's the word. So just, I don't know.
Small, like they're very,
Very
it's
small,
like a
yeah.
small, yeah, okay.
And I remember asking questions. No one was very willing to help, to give advice. And then I realized that it's because people steal ideas, people take your
Mm,
concepts. So just be very careful who you approach.
yeah, and surrounding yourself with like people you trust, right?
Exactly.
I think that's with any industry.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This was so interesting. You're such a unique
Mhm.
guest, and I just love it. And I definitely want those shoes. I want those shoes.
Your address.
Yeah,
Your
no, I
sex.
will. And it's so great because I have a lot of friends. We didn't talk about this, but I have a lot of friends who are vegan, and we were vegan and then we couldn't be because blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah.
I love the intention behind it. And so now I have this great brand that I can like recommend to people. We are going to include all of the things you need to find Suveria in the show notes. So her website. And are you in any boutiques or are you just online?
Just
for selling?
online.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we're going to include all of that. And is there anything that we didn't get to talk about that you wanted to mention?
You mentioned something earlier about posting online that's intentional and something on those lines. And I wanted to talk about cetaceans in captivity. So I started the brand because of the documentary Blackfish. I'd like to say that was what started the movement, the rabbit hole. And I've brought it back with the brand where there are a lot of social causes and social issues daily that brands like to bring forward and create awareness.
Highlight,
and
yeah.
for the brand that it's still dolphins in captivity, whales in captivity. We have a lot of seaquariums here in Florida, a lot of places that are not doing right by the animals. And so we try to bring awareness. People tag the brand. If there's a dolphin in captivity, there's a manatee in captivity here in Florida in deplorable conditions, people tag the brand because they know that those are causes that they care for. And so just that's a issue that the brand is very interested in, bringing awareness.
Okay. All right, cool. We will do that. If you see any videos on Instagram or TikTok or anything like that, tag #Suveria, Suveria. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. I'm so grateful for your precious time and energy. And if anything resonated with you, please feel free to share with a friend and subscribe. If you're interested in career coaching, I would love to hear from you. Email me at Courtney@resume-careers.com and follow me on Instagram at Courtney Austin Page. Thank you so much and see you next week.